Transform your garage floor from ugly to sparkling today using the Rustoleum Rocksolid kit and some elbow grease. Welcome to Below Average DIY. My garage floor was old, dirty, chipped, and cracked, depressing my vision of a shiny, neat, and tidy space for both work and storage. My car's bedroom called for a makeover, and I figured I'd document my experience so that you, dear reader, might also reap the fruits of my labor. Today, I'll take you through this weekend project step by step, share my experience with the polycuramine product, and highlight the difficulties throughout. I do have a large garage, and I needed to use 2 of the 2.5 car garage kits from Rustoleum, and barely had enough product. Stick around for my mistakes, lessons learned, and 6-month review at the end of the video. Let's get to it. Probably 70% of the time and effort spent on this project was in preparing the surface. I started by filling in chips and cracks with a concrete patch product, filling in the cracks with this trowel scraper thing. More on this product later. Once the cracks were filled and the product dried, I sanded down the excess using 180 grit sandpaper. After a quick sweep, I rinsed the floor with a power washer, starting around the edges and working towards the edge of the door. This will be a common path throughout most phases in the project. I then used a mixture of crud cutter and water, poured it on, and scrubbed the surface with a stiff broom to work out some of the dirt and grime. More of this concrete patch product came off at this point, which for the most part was a good thing. After the power wash and scrub, I went back with my sander and removed even more of the concrete filler from around the cracks. Here's what my cracks looked like after further sanding them down. I gave the floor another rinse with the power washer to remove the remaining dust and soap, and then the floor was ready to etch. Chemicals in the etching product further clean the surface and prepare it to bond with product applied. I soaked the surface with water and poured the etching product onto the wet surface. Etching product did come with a kit, which I didn't know ahead of time, so I had purchased this etching product separately. I split my garage up into sections and poured, spread, and scrubbed one section at a time. You do not want the etching product to dry on the surface, so you need to work quickly. Make sure to wear protective clothing when working with this stuff. I gave the floor one final rinse with the power washer and then started to tape. You don't have to tape, but I decided to tape off the bottom anyways, so I wouldn't have to work too slowly or carefully when it was time to paint, since I had a limited time to apply the product after mixing it up. Doink! After one final blow off, the floor was almost ready to roll. First, I'll take one look back at the concrete patch job. On parts of the floor that were severely chipped, some of the filler was stripped away by the power washer, leaving a few divots behind. I'll show you how this turned out in the end, but at this point, I was committed to starting the paint job and was just going to send it. In the box, there was the etching product, 2 foam rollers, paint chips, and of course the polycuramine product. My friend was not included, though he was very helpful. Again, I bought 2 of these kits and barely had enough product to cover my floor of 620 square feet. I bought another 3-pound bag of paint chips, but the chips included in the 2 boxes would have been enough for light coverage throughout. I found the product itself very easy to mix and apply overall. Don't be a buffoon like me, wear some damn shoes. More on this later. I started with the outermost edges using a brush and a smaller 4-inch roller for precision's sake. I had one wood surface on these steps where the product did not adhere very well. You'll see evidence of that shortly. After the outermost edges were done, here's the general approach I took for application. I'd pour the product lightly all around, used a squeegee to spread it roughly where it needed to be, and then used a big roller to actually paint it evenly and coat the entire surface. We were only doing one thick coat, so we did multiple passes with the roller at different angles to make sure all the holes and gaps were at least touched once. We continued this process around the outer edges first. This was by far the most satisfying part of the entire job. I'd recommend going in strips of about 4 feet at a time. First, so that you can reach the whole section with the roller without having to walk on the product while it's still wet. And second, so that you can throw paint chips towards the back of the strip. They don't go very far even if you throw as hard as you can. Just take handfuls of the chips and throw them up in the air. They'll disperse naturally on their way down. Now we all know how satisfying it would be to see a time lapse of the rest of the paint job, but I'm heartbroken to tell you, at this point my phone died. So I'll do my best to illustrate how I would recommend attacking the rest of the floor. You'll start with your outer 4-foot strip, throw the paint chips on, working your way around the outer edges, circling around yourself. Then continue working towards the middle and the entry edge of your garage so that you can finish with your feet outside of the garage on your final pass. You'll want to overlap slightly for each new pass. I think we did 4 passes total before we reached the outer edge of the garage, and at that point, the miracle was complete. After we finished and my phone was revived, here's what the floor looked like when drying overnight. One sleep later, I swept off the surface to scrape off any paint chips that hadn't fully adhered to the product, which wasn't too many. Overall, it was looking pretty darn clean. Now, where did I mess up? Number 1, my concrete patch product didn't work very well. As I showed, there were some divots remaining after power washing, which you can still see after the polycuramine was applied. It's much better, but still very noticeable. You can still see traces of the original smaller cracks in the surface as well, so I wouldn't use the same product for crack filler again. If you know of a good product to use for this, leave a note in the comments to help a stranger out. I will say the paint chips do a pretty good job of hiding cracks to the naked eye if you're not specifically looking for them. Number 2, so far I only have one area where the product chipped off, but it's my fault. Throughout the preparation and application, I had a chainsaw hanging right here and some of the chain oil dripped onto the surface before I painted. Again, it's my fault it chipped off, not the product's fault. Number 3, when painting, cover your skin and nails. I'll gift you with a brief picture of my disgusting feet to drive this point home. The polycuramine was on my finger and toenails for 3 months after this project. It will adhere to your nails even better than your floor. Number 4, figure out a plan for the outer edge of your garage. I had a rocky and uneven transition from the slab of my garage to my driveway, and I didn't know the best way to handle it. Hold up, you might be thinking, your garage door looks like shit, and you'd be right. If your garage door also looks like hot garbage, see my garage door makeover video linked above. Back to the outer edge of the slab. I ended up filling this gap with some asphalt filler and sealer. I did a terrible job with it, but it's definitely an option if you give it a little bit more time and care. Number 5, you may notice there's a dense population of paint chips around my stairs. This is because I first forgot to throw paint chips against the side of the vertical surfaces first, and I had to go back to do so after I had already covered the floor with paint chips. The wood portion here didn't adhere well either. 6 months after doing this project, I'm still pretty pleased with it. This is my floor pictured after heavy use for 6 months and no cleaning outside of blowing off leaves. All it needs is an occasional mopping to look fresh again. No new areas of the polycuramine have chipped. The decorative paint chips do a really good job of covering up imperfections and provide some grip to the surface when it's wet. The surface does get pretty squeaky with tires and shoes when wet, and I've considered adding a top coat for additional grip and protection, but I haven't done so yet. So far, I'm a fan. In conclusion, I previously had a large, nasty garage floor needing a major makeover, and I think I was relatively successful at doing so. It took a decent amount of work, but any able-bodied person can do this. After spending one weekend and around $500, my garage looks and feels way better. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, subscribe to my channel to help a brother out. I try to be honest and thorough, but please let me know if you have any questions or if there's anything I can do to improve these videos. If you have any other tips for how to best resurface a garage floor, please leave them in the comments for others to see. Good luck on your projects, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.